During the Thanksgiving dinner, my sister rose to her feet and declared, "We voted, and you are no longer considered family." The crowd erupted in applause. I chuckled gently and replied, "Then I suppose you won't be needing this." A folder was set down upon the table surface. As she pried it open, a scream erupted from her lips. Before we carved the turkey, Natalie announced, rising from her chair with that self-satisfied, practiced smile of hers, "There's something we need to discuss." Silence enveloped the room. Forks hovered in the air, suspended in a moment of stillness. My stomach tightened. I recognized that tone all too well. It was the very same one she wielded when she orchestrated my grounding at 14 for a party I never even attended. We held a family vote, she continued, surveying the crowd with the poise of a pageant queen on the brink of receiving her crown. "And we have come to the conclusion that you are no longer considered family." Stillness. Then came a resounding cheer. Applauding. My cousin Laura applauded as if she were at a grand concert. Uncle Mitch lifted his wine glass high and offered toast. Even my mother, my very own mother, chuckled and remarked, "Well, someone had to say it." I remained motionless, my gaze fixed on the plate before me. The stuffing lay cold, yet my blood simmered with intensity. My father didn't even glance in my direction. He took a slow sip of his beer and murmured, "It's probably for the best." "Wow," I remarked, gently sliding my chair back. "Did you all really practice this?" Natalie's smile broadened. "Your toxicity has lingered for years. We have at last ceased our charade." "You're not family," my mother remarked, extending her hand toward the cranberry sauce as if we were merely chatting about the day's forecast. "There's a consensus." I surveyed my surroundings. Silence enveloped the room. "No, individual." "Very well," I murmured softly. With a deliberate motion, I delved into my bag. "I anticipated this moment," I remarked as I retrieved a substantial folder and set it down delicately in the middle of the table. The noise it produced, thunk, sliced through the merriment. Natalie opened and closed her eyes in quick succession. What could that possibly be? With a smile playing on my lips, I reclined in my chair, arms crossed comfortably over my chest. "Why not discover for yourself?" With a swift motion, she seized it and tore it apart, her lips curling into that familiar sardonic smirk that signaled her belief in victory. Then she flipped to the first page, and her smile faded. Her complexion drained of color. Her gaze swept across the following page, and then the next. In that moment, her voice erupted into a piercing scream. I screamed, a scream that chills to the bone, reminiscent of the most terrifying moments in a horror film. Her chair toppled behind her as she sprang to her feet, slamming the folder shut as if it had seared her fingers. "You monster," she cried. "You have truly gone awry, peculiar individual." Gasps reverberated through the air, filling the space around the table. Joel, her husband, seized the folder and flipped it open. In that moment, his jaw fell open in astonishment. He cast his gaze in my direction. Could this be? I gave a single nod. "It is all genuine," I declared. "Each and every word, each and every receipt, each screenshot." The table fell into a profound silence. The sound of a fork clinking echoed softly from the kitchen. My mother's lips parted, then sealed once more, as a fish struggles for breath. "You were so convinced I wouldn't resist," I remarked, rising to my feet with deliberate slowness. "Indeed, I would embrace the role of the silent observer, the welcome mat, the golden goose. However, can you believe it?" I leaned in, locking my gaze with Natalie's, piercing through the surface to the depths of her soul. "Your quaint performance? The end has come. Are you curious about the contents of the folder? I will arrive at my destination. Before we delve deeper, allow me to recount the journey that led us to this moment." Natalie didn't simply wake up one day and choose to cast me out from the family. The culmination of that decision unfolded over many years, stone by stone, observation by observation, deception upon deception. I was never the one they favored. Far from it. Natalie shone brightly, the epitome of brilliance. Excellent marks, a radiant grin, and an innate ability to charm any gathering. She had a remarkable ability to weave deception so seamlessly that one would find themselves expressing gratitude for her untruths. I in contrast, remained silent, confidential. I had no desire for attention, and that was met with disdain. My silence was perceived as a sign of weakness. At the age of 19, I embarked on a new chapter of my life by moving out. I financed my own college education, juggling 2 jobs along the way, never once seeking assistance. In the interim, Natalie stumbled through 2 majors, embarked on a journey to Europe in search of her true self, and ultimately returned home to wed Joel, a man who embodied the polished professionalism of a LinkedIn profile clad in a blazer. What about the wedding? I covered 50% of the cost. Though my parents lacked the means, they somehow orchestrated a 2-week cruise immediately afterward. I refrained from voicing any grievances. I did not engage in that action. Despite the playful jabs about my role as the family accountant, I continued to lend my support, contributing to Dad's dental surgery, sending funds when Mom mentioned the overdue heat bill, and even assisting with cousin Laura's tuition when she found herself waitlisted for a scholarship. They always expressed their gratitude, certainly, but with that unmistakable tone. The one who remarked, "Naturally, you would lend a hand. You lack a family of your own." Perhaps that was the turning point. Do you see? I find myself unattached, without children, without a partner. Keep it simple. It's simply me, my craft, and my loyal companion. In their gaze, it seemed to imply that I had no other pursuits than to finance their chaos. Natalie, in particular, regarded me as her own personal safeguard. Upon hearing the news of Joel's job loss, she reached out to me without hesitation. A mere loan, nothing more. When her car broke down, you earn a substantial income. What's $2,000 in the grand scheme of things? When her child required therapy and the insurance refused to provide coverage. Indeed, can you guess whom she reached out to? I consistently offered my assistance. Forever. For the reason that I convinced myself it was about family. Yet, what began as a desire to assist transformed into a sense of duty, and then into anticipation, and then into the realm of demand. It began as a mere whisper. Witty jabs exchanged over dinner. "Ah, did you bring wine? It must be quite a pleasure to indulge in fine wine. Naturally, you arrived ahead of time. There are no children to concern yourself with." I longed for the evenings when I could immerse myself in work, escaping the confines of home and the presence of my husband. Then took a turn for the worse. Your demeanor is quite frigid. Perhaps that explains your solitude. You have yet to grasp the true essence of stress. Your existence lacks authenticity. Your bitterness stems from the realization that you are not needed by anyone. Yet, they truly require my presence. Incessantly, in terms of finances, silently, within the confines of secrecy, and then arrive the message. "Natalie, would you be willing to co-sign for a small business loan? Joel and I aspire to launch a wellness cafe." I, negative. "Natalie, incredible. Is that so?" Then arrived the stillness. That was a quarter of a year past. Since that moment, I have been met with indifference. Mother ceased her calls. Father responded with terse, one-word answers. I was not included in the last family dinner invitation. Natalie severed our connection on social media, following her story about eliminating toxic individuals from her life. Yet, I did not linger in despair. Instead, I began to gather the receipts. Actual documentation. I maintained meticulous records, monetary transactions through banking channels, correspondence, captured images of the screen, chronicles of time. I'm not foolish. In the span of the last 5 years, I have transferred more than $78,000 to different family members. $78,000. $8,000 for Joel's rehabilitation. $2,300 was spent on Natalie's emergency dental work, which ultimately revealed itself to be elective veneers. $1,500 for my father's back surgery. $12,000 to settle my mother's credit card debt. $6,000 allocated for Laura's college move-in expenses. $4,500 spent on what was initially deemed a family emergency, only to reveal itself as a getaway to Cabo. And not a single time, did any of them extend the courtesy of repaying me. They simply took, and when I ceased to offer, they concluded that I was the source of the issue. I have created the folder. Within, each transfer confirmation, each email and text implores for financial assistance. Images capturing Natalie labeling me as manipulative to her friend after I declined a loan request. A comprehensive account of each significant payment I have made over the past 5 years. And as an added touch, there are copies of Facebook and Instagram posts where they ridiculed me. I possess screenshots of Natalie referring to me as a cash cow devoid of backbone, captured in a private comment thread she was unaware I could access. Indeed, that was the site that greeted her as she opened the folder. That was the catalyst for a scream. Natalie was not merely exposed. She was deconstructed detail by detail, sentence by sentence, chapter by chapter. Meanwhile, the rest of the family came to understand the gravity of their actions. My mother appeared on the brink of collapse. "Is it you, Joel?" He gazed at the line that read $4,200 for Natalie's credit card, charged at a hotel in Santa Monica with someone named Alyssa, and simply uttered, "What is this?" I chose not to respond. I was not obligated to do so. For the very first time, I found myself not in the position of defense. I was merely unveiling the truth to them. "You maintain meticulous records." At last, my mother spoke, her voice trembling. Of all things, I faced her, composed and unruffled. "You never recalled." Thus it fell to someone. Natalie remained upright, her complexion ashen, her hands tightly balled at her sides. Her gaze flickered between Joel, then to me, and finally settled on the folder. "This is a violation," she spat. "Your actions were unjustified." "Isn't that so?" I declared, rising to my feet with deliberate slowness. "You stood there before the entire family and proclaimed that I am not one of them. Everyone applauded. And now you find yourself troubled by my readiness." Joel turned yet another page in the folder. "What is the story behind Santa Monica?" he inquired, his tone strained. Natalie's gaze darted sharply in his direction. "Refrain from beginning." "Who is Alyssa?" he pressed on. "What were you doing at a hotel for 3 nights charged to my credit card?" Her silence resonated more profoundly than any spoken response. "Hold on," my mother interjected, raising her hands in a gesture of pause. "Can we all take a moment to breathe and approach this with a sense of reason?" "Absolutely," I declared. "Let us approach this with a sense of reason. Let us revisit the moment you referred to me as a parasite while you were cashing the check I had sent your way." She fluttered her eyelashes. "That seems unjust." We found ourselves enveloped in a cloud of stress. "Negative." I lost my composure. "Stress weighed heavily upon you. I came to your rescue. Each, alone, moments, and the one occasion I declined. In an instant, I find myself cast as the adversary. My father, who had remained utterly silent until this moment, finally broke his silence. "You're amplifying this beyond its true significance." I faced him, my voice lowering to a whisper. "You allowed this to happen to me for years. You were aware. You witnessed it. You've heard it. You allowed it to unfold, choosing the path of least resistance over confronting them directly." He offered no denial. Natalie struck the table with her hand. "Your bitterness stems from the realization that you are no longer needed by anyone." "Incorrect." I spoke with an icy detachment. "I hold no bitterness. I have reached my limit." She released a laugh tinged with bitterness. "Your actions are truly disappointing. Can you perceive the sheer drama of it all? Are you bringing a folder? Capturing and printing screenshots? Do you believe this positions you as the victim? You are merely demonstrating your need for control. And you're merely demonstrating," I remarked, "that your concern for me was solely tied to the times I was covering your expenses." "You don't get to play the martyr," she shouted. "You made the decision to assist. You were not obligated to do so." And yet, in that moment, I found myself saying, as I stepped forward, "You anticipated it." Without fail. Until it ceased to be assistance. It was an obligation, and when I ceased, you cast me aside. My voice trembled, not from sorrow, but from fury. A brother was never part of your desires. A wallet that walks on its own, you desired. Joel rose to his feet, clutching the folder tightly. "Could this possibly be true?" he inquired, his gaze fixed on Natalie. Everything encompassed within this. Natalie gazed at him, and for the first time, words eluded her. "There shall be no insincere weeping, no deviation, only quietude." "You deceived me," he remarked. "A glimpse into the hotel. Concerning the finances. Concerning him." Your words painted him as if he were unhinged. I was compelled to. She erupted. He was sowing seeds of discord among everyone, turning them against me. I was not, I replied. You accomplished that entirely on your own. Silence enveloped the room once more. Then my mother leaned in, making one final attempt. Her voice took on a gentler tone. Hear me out, darling. It seems we might have gone a bit too far in our response. Yet, this remains a matter of family, and families clash. Let us move past this moment. I severed our connection. You seem to be missing my point. She fluttered her eyelashes. What is this? I seek not tranquility. I seek no absolution. Yes, sur you. I have reached my limit. Natalie curled her lip in disdain. Oh, cease the pretense that this is a significant occasion. That sentiment has crossed your lips previously. I gazed deeply in her eyes. This isn't the way. I delved into my coat pocket and retrieved yet another envelope. What comes next? My father inquired, his weariness evident. I flung it onto the table. Joel seized it just in time, preventing it from slipping away. He gently pried it open, perused the opening sentence. His eyes grew wide. What could this possibly be? He murmured softly. I spoke on his behalf. Documents for granting authority to act on another's behalf. Dedicated to my mother. Withdrawn. Healthcare representative. Withdrawn. Who should I reach out to in case of an emergency? Deleted. The papers have already been signed by me. I am no longer bound, either by law or by sentiment, to any of you. My mother inhaled sharply. Are you severing all connections entirely? Absolutely, I declared, commencing at this moment. You're being selfish, she said, her voice trembling as tears began to well in her eyes. Though we have stumbled along the way, our bond as family remains unbroken. I faced her, my voice lowering once more, steady and resolute. Negative. You're not. I snatched my coat, cast a final glance their way, and stepped out the door, abandoning them amidst the Thanksgiving feast, bewildered and silent, encircled by unappetizing dishes and harsh realities. I stepped outside, resolute, and refrained from glancing back. Not because it lacked pain. Indeed it did. As I shut the door behind me and descended from their porch into the frigid night, a subtle transformation stirred within me. After a long hiatus, I found the air filling my lungs. I took a different route instead of heading straight home. I veered off the road beside the lake that once held my childhood memories, the very spot where my father would take me to fish. I lingered in quietude, gazing at the tranquil water, and experienced a sensation that had eluded me for far too long. No strings tugging at my heart. Free from remorse. Take your time. There is no one anticipating a payment, a lift, or a kindness. Only silence reigns. On the following morning, stillness. What about the following day? Yet again, there is nothing. Yet, on the third day, the messages began to arrive. To begin with, my mother. A call that went unanswered. Then another one. Next came a voicemail. Did you truly mean it? Though anger coursed through us, our bond as family remains unbroken. I chose not to reply. Then arrived the messages. By Natalie. You remain blissfully unaware of your actions. Joel is initiating the process of divorce. Do you find joy in your life? There seems to be a significant issue with you. Then there was my father. You have crossed the line. We have all uttered words we wish we could take back. Yet, what you executed was nothing short of nuclear. Your mother is in disarray. Please attend to this matter. I chose not to respond to any of them. To be frank, I expected to be consumed by guilt. I imagined myself restless in the night, contemplating whether I had crossed a line. Yet in contrast, I experienced a night of sleep more restorative than I had in years. The days of second-guessing each message had come to an end. The time for anticipation has passed. No longer shall we linger in uncertainty. Gone are the days of late-night Venmo requests, those guilt-laden pleas masquerading as urgent crises. After 10 long years, the clarity of my thoughts finally emerged from the chaos. I begun to rise with the dawn, embarking on runs, crafting coffee with patience. I finally took the plunge and scheduled appointments that had lingered on my to-do list for far too long. Dental practitioner, physician, even a counselor. Not due to my brokenness, but because I was finally granted the opportunity to nurture myself. I have revised my emergency contacts. I distanced myself from my parents. I have updated my passwords. They immobilized every joint account within their reach. I severed all ties with Natalie across every platform. Revenge had ceased to be the driving force. The essence of it all was closure. A week following Thanksgiving, I received a message from Laura, my cousin who had applauded when they cast their votes to eliminate me. I had no idea you cover my tuition. I apologize. I moved with the throng. You were consistently the one who truly offered assistance. I chose to remain silent. Yet, I delved into its pages. Twice. Then, quite unexpectedly, a message arrived from Joel. The papers have been duly filed. All contents within that folder were verified and found to be in order. She betrayed trust. Falsehood. Contorted. It's not only you. I feel the same way. He remarked, your decision was commendable. I ought to have departed earlier. That took me by surprise. Yet it touched down. A few days later, I took a step I hadn't dared to in years. I submitted an application for a job in a different city. Not due to my haste. Yet, it was precisely because I had finally attained my freedom. It's best if you remain nearby. Who will look after them if you decide to go? I began to rekindle connections with friends I hadn't encountered in ages. Individuals I had distanced myself from due to my constant preoccupation with family matters. And the most astonishing aspect? A few of them had come across my post on Reddit. They made contact. We want you to know that we take great pride in your accomplishments. That was truly courageous. No one requested any funds. No one should make me feel guilty. No one attempted to twist the narrative. Simply provide support. Uncomplicated, genuine, pure. A person inquired, do you not feel any regret about it? For a fleeting moment, I paused to reflect. Then I remarked, my only regret is that I didn't take action sooner. I believe that was the conclusion. Indeed, it was. Yet, with individuals such as them, no conclusion ever arrives without its complications, particularly as they begin to sense the impact of your departure. The initial weeks following Thanksgiving unfolded with a serene stillness. Serenely, hauntingly still. There are no calls, free from remorse. Simply tranquility. Until the arrival of Christmas. On the 22nd of December, a message from my mother arrived. Merely an image. The living room was adorned with stockings, a half-decorated tree standing proudly at the center, and a vast empty space with the presents typically piled high. The caption expressed a sentiment of longing. It simply doesn't feel the same without you. Ellie persistently inquires about Uncle's absence this year. I gazed at it for what felt like an eternity. No regrets. There is no possession. Merely the same insidious undertone. Behold the consequences of your actions. Consider the impact of your actions. I chose not to respond. On December 23rd, Natalie made an attempt to reach out via phone. I allowed it to resonate. In that moment, she composed a message and sent it forth. I recognize my mistakes. However, it is not necessary to impose punishment on all. Simply stop by for Ellie. She longs for your presence. Moments later, moreover, Mom and Dad find themselves lagging in their mortgage payments. I'm aware that your interest has waned, yet the bank reached out today. I believed you would find this information valuable. There it stood, a presence unmistakable. The request, perpetually shrouded in a veil of remorse, perpetually cloaked in an illusion of tenderness. Yet, it consistently concluded in a similar fashion, culminating in a request. The number has been blocked. On the eve of December 24th, another piece of writing. This moment comes from Father. Your argument is clear. We understand, but there comes a point when enough is truly enough. Assistance is required. We remain your kin. That evening, I found myself in solitude by the flickering flames of the fireplace, cradling a glass of wine in my hand. I surveyed the confines of my modest apartment. There is no tree. Silence prevails. Only I remain, accompanied by the silence they warned would be my undoing. For the very first time in my existence, gratitude washed over me in that stillness. Yet, that was not the conclusion. The first month of the year, a call came through from an unfamiliar number. I reached for it instinctively. Could this be Daniel? A voice belonging to a man inquired. Indeed. Who is it that's calling? My name is Mark, he stated. I am reaching out on behalf of your father. He indicated that you're the main executor of the family trust. I stood still, caught in a moment of disbelief. 2 months ago, I made the decision to revoke that role, I stated. The family attorney brought it to a conclusion. My name is absent from all records. The man came to a halt. Indeed, I understand. Your father mentioned that he was unable to contact you directly and requested that I look into alternative options. They're in a bit of a predicament. Indeed, they certainly were. Natalie and my parents found themselves devoid of alternatives. The automated teller machine stood silent, its doors firmly shut. The safety net had vanished. At this moment, they were embarking on a journey of creativity. I ended the call in silence. Yet, it was in February that the ultimate breaking point was reached. An envelope arrived in the mail, written by hand, absence of a return address. Yet, I immediately recognized the familiar strokes of my mother's handwriting. Within lay a letter, spanning 3 pages. The opening page was steeped in a sense of remorse. Words were exchanged in the heat of the moment. You have consistently embodied strength. We were unaware of the extent to which we depended on you. The second page shifted to remorse. Your father's health is not in a good state. Natalie finds herself utterly alone now. Concerns linger regarding Ellie. She is facing challenges. What about the third page? That was the captivating element. We are putting the house on the market. However, we find ourselves in a situation where the mortgage exceeds the value of our home. We simply require a touch of assistance to navigate this challenge. In that case, we shall refrain from inquiring once more. Kindly, Daniel, undertake this for your father. Undertake this for the sake of the family. I lingered with the letter for a time. I allowed myself to experience every bit of what they wish for me to feel. The burden of duty, the sharp pang of duty, the profound yearning to mend what has been shattered. With a deliberate motion, I folded the letter, awoke from slumber, strolled into the kitchen, and discarded it into the refuse. In reality, they were not seeking assistance. Access was being requested. Once more, they had no desire to welcome me back into the family fold. They sought the version of me that never uttered the word no. The one who bore the cost in silence, quietly relinquished, endured in silence. Yet, that iteration of myself, he has departed. I refuse to be their scapegoat any longer. I am not their source of endless fortune. I refuse to be the adhesive that binds a shattered home. I have reached my conclusion. What struck the deepest fear within them? I am managing quite well in their absence. I have secured a new position, relocated to a new city, a more spacious environment, a fresh beginning. On weekends, I began to volunteer, not out of necessity, but driven by my own desire to contribute. I crafted a life in which no one disturbs me at 11 p.m. to rectify a blunder they refuse to acknowledge. In a place where my independence is celebrated, not condemned. In a realm where kindness stands free from manipulation. I have no regrets about extending my help to them. Yet, I find myself lamenting the duration it took for me to finally cease. Are you curious about the essence of true peace? It's the absence of family that weighs heavily. It's the liberation from those who refer to you as family solely in times of need. An update several months down the line. I never anticipated that this post would attract such attention. To be candid, I simply had to express it, to place it in a designated location. However, I perused each and every comment. The individuals who proclaimed your bravery, they are unworthy of you. Thank you. It wasn't until the moment arrived that I realized just how essential those words were to me, and to the select few who inquired. But what if they transform? Indeed, that question has crossed my mind as well. Several months have passed since then. They remain the same. Once I severed those ties, once the folder was closed, once the cacophony gave way to a profound stillness and the letters lay untouched, I held on to a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, someone would understand. That they would take a moment to ponder. That they would express their apologies. They did not. Silence enveloped them for a time. Then they devised a plan. In that moment, desperation took hold of them. Then they turned unpleasant once more. But what about me? I found my freedom. Since that time, I have relocated to a new abode. I have secured a position that allows me to rest peacefully at night. Embarked on the journey of therapy, genuine therapy, the kind where you cease the endless pursuit of mending others and, at last, discover the art of being present with your own self. Now, I prepare meals for my own enjoyment. I experience improved sleep. I find myself venturing outdoors more frequently. The phone buzzes, and I remain unfazed. Occasionally, Ellie crosses my mind, concerning the lessons she is receiving, concerning the beliefs she will adopt as the standard for her future. Yet, I'm also aware of this. I became the embodiment of someone who ultimately declared enough is enough. Not long ago, another letter arrived in my hands, written by hand, from my mother. It consisted of 3 words. We remain united as a family, without any context provided. No regrets, no change, merely the familiar refrain. For the first time, an emptiness enveloped me, leaving me untouched by emotion. Calmness prevails. There is no sorrow, merely emptiness. I discarded it and proceeded to prepare dinner. Here I am once again. This place bestowed upon me a clarity I had not anticipated. Those unfamiliar with me perceive my essence more vividly than my own kin ever could. I have a question to pose. Have I made the right choice? Severing ties, releasing the burden, declining an invitation, and truly embracing it. Did I come across as too distant? Or had I truly reached the end of my tether, weary of being the sole architect of our fragile balance? I'm uncertain, yet I'm certain of this. For the first time in my existence, I find myself not merely enduring. I exist in this moment. I appreciate your time and attention, continuing to listen.